Hi there, fiber friends. Welcome back to another Spinning Sara video. Today we are going to talk about the long-awaited topic of Longdraw on an e-spinner. The mechanics are the same. If you've watched Longdraw on a treadle wheel or Longdraw on a Saxony, you know the mechanics of Longdraw. That's not going to change. I'll still go over them with you, but that's not going to change. What is going to change just a tiny bit is how we approach setting up our wheel for Longdraw. Thank you guys for being patient for this video, and let's go jump into it. All right, guys, so the first thing that I need to talk to you about before we even look at the spinning wheel is fiber prep. I've talked to you guys at length about this before. Anytime you are trying to spin Longdraw, your fiber prep matters. Your fiber prep probably matters more for Longdraw than for any other type of spinning. Because you're doing it primarily one-handed, you need your fiber to draft as smoothly as possible in order to have a consistent yarn from Longdraw. As you can see here, I have this bat. It has a ton of different colors in it, and I need all of those colors to come out in my finished yarn evenly, or as evenly as possible. So I could just grab this little fluffy end right here and start drafting and hope and pray that I stay kind of in the middle so I get all the colors. You can see very clearly this is a very dense chunk of fiber. Like it's a good inch thick. And this is too dense for me, okay? And everything I'm going to tell you guys is me, and it's my methods, and your mileage may vary, and please let me know if you want to let me know how yours is different. But anytime I spin Longdraw, I spin for consistency, and that's pretty much true with any yarn that I spin for consistency. But I know that with Longdraw, I have not less control, but at the same time less control over my yarn if I do not have good fiber prep. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, okay? This is from Inglenook Fibers. It's absolutely gorgeous. It is well prepped in and of itself. However, this is a lot of fiber to handle at one time. So I am a very, very big proponent of dizzing my fiber. So the first thing I will do in prepping, I have this diz here. It's from Hip Strings. They're available on her website. You can pick any kind of pattern you want. I just picked Harry Potter. It has a small, a medium, and a large. I generally use the medium hole and just pop it through that hole. And then you just start drafting this thinner, a lot thinner. Because I'm staying in the center of the fiber, you can see I'm getting all of those colors pretty consistently. So when we come back up here, this is much easier to manage. It's a much thinner, you can see my hand behind it. It's a much easier to manage bit of fiber. So we would diz this entire bat and make it several times larger or longer than it is normally. And you can see we still have all those beautiful colors. And now that it is much more manageable, we can get started spinning it. All right, friends, here we are. We have the wheel. The wheel is set up. It is plugged in, even though you guys can't see that it's plugged in. And I have the flyer laced and the leader coming out of the orifice. Before we go any further, I want to talk for a second about how I thread my flyer. I'm sure if you guys have been with me for any period of time, you know that I'm a bit of a tension princess when it comes to tension on wheels. And with a Scotch tension wheel, all of that is handled by this back brake band. The drive band is right here. It's a black band going over this. This is my brake band for this particular wheel. This is a Hansen MiniSpinner, and using a lace bobbin and the lace flyer. And right now this band has 0 tension on it, and that's purposeful so I can show you how I go through the steps to adjust the tension and make sure it's just right for me, Goldilocks style. However, even getting this tension set up right, I still prefer to have less drag on my yarn when I'm spinning. So I lace my flyer in a way that I think is particular to me. I don't use this right sliding hook flyer. I'm right-handed, but I actually use the left flyer hook, and that's because traditionally when you cross lace a flyer, you use both of these and essentially cut across the bobbin in order to cross lace the flyer. But I've found that doing that cuts your bobbin capacity, because you're essentially cutting across the fiber that's sitting on your bobbin, and that, while it hasn't ever created any problems for me personally, I would imagine that it has the potential for yarn to get caught on itself, and I don't want that. So what I do is I leave this guy back here, and I use the left side because I have 2 eyelets up here that I can use for cross lacing. You could, in theory, come straight in through the orifice to this right one and then out through the right, and that's the normal way to lace your flyer. What I choose to do, because Hansen has their orifices where they slant to the right, I go to the right eyelet first, and then I make a U-turn and go to the left eyelet and then up to the sliding hook. That way it provides me with the same tension or uptake reduction that a traditional cross lace does without impacting my bobbin capacity at all. So that is definitely the Spinning Sara way of cross lacing a flyer right here. Now, as I said, this has 0 tension on it. So were I to turn my wheel on and relax my leader sitting in my hand, it's completely relaxed. There's no uptake whatsoever. So what we need to do is turn this knob, which is my Scotch tension knob, and you can see this piece right here is starting to move. There is a hidden spring inside a tunnel right here that you can't see, but right here, both of my springs are held taut, so there's no wiggling to the spring on the other side over here, and this spring in here is also taut and ready to go. If I lessen it, you can see that this lets go, and you can tell that it's completely lax. So once you get it to where it's gripped and you can see that your tension is being held in place by 2 sturdy springs, try again. Now I have uptake. It's actually winding on, but it's a little light for me. So I'm going to turn it just a tiny bit, and that should be good for me. I've said this before, and I will say it again. Tension is a very individual thing. I like a whisper of uptake for my yarns. You might like something that pulls like a freight train, and that's totally good, and I'm glad that you do, and that makes your life so much easier because you don't have to nitpick quite as much as I do. However, for Longdraw, you probably don't want something that pulls like a freight train. You probably want something that maybe pulls like a Chihuahua. You want it to wind on your bobbin, and you want it to provide a point of tension or pull so you can draft against it, but you don't want it to pull your yarn apart or pull it out of your hands. So now that I've got my wheel set up to where I think I want it, I'm going to resettle the camera so you guys can see my hands, and then we're going to spin some Longdraw on an espinner. All right, you guys, here is our dizzed fiber. It is all ready to go. So what I do is I take my loose end and I chuck the rest of it on the floor. I roll my fiber up into a ball, and then it can roll around on the ground and do whatever it needs to do, and gives me the freedom to not worry about it and just draft. I realize that a lot of you want specific view of my hands, and I am trying to accommodate that. Camera angles solo are kind of complex, so I will do my best. All right, the last thing I'm going to tell you guys about tension when it comes to your spinning wheel is your yarn, your singles, should only wind on when you allow them to. It should not be a tug of war to keep your wheel from slurping up your singles. It should wind on when you allow it to wind on. Otherwise, it should not tug at you so much that it is stressing you out. Okay. So let me show you guys how I start my leader. I have my leader, goes to my bobbin. I take a little tuft of fiber and reach through and put it right in the center of that loop, and then draft. Before I allow, I'm preventing the twist from coming into my fiber supply right here. I have this little overlap right here. You can see this is where my fiber starts and it continues down here. I'm going to let these two twist together. This locks my fiber onto my leader and doesn't let it go anywhere. All right, now we're going to give it some twist and let it pull on. Now, I set this up before. You guys saw me. I'm not happy with the uptake. It's a little too light still. I'm going to give it a little teeny tiny nudge in the direction I want it to go and continue on. A little bit more. Now I don't see how I'm not using my right hand to assist with the drafting. I have enough tension on my wheel, on my leader, to be a point of pivot for me to draft against. It's not so loose that I can just yank it back out of the wheel, and it's not so tight that it is auto drafting my yarn and pulling it into the wheel. Okay. This is very, very slow spinning right now. For the nerds out there, my flyer is at 334 RPM. It's only using 8% of the power that my wheel provides, because I have it going slow and I don't have a lot of tension on the bobbin. So I'm going to draft back. The biggest thing with Longdraw on any device, treadle wheel, support spindle, e-spinner, is you have to trust the twist. You have to trust it, because if you don't trust it, you're never going to be comfortable enough to let go. And letting go is what makes long draw. You have to let go, and you have to be patient and allow the twist to go into your fiber supply. And you're trying to stay just ahead of the twist with your drafting. So I'm letting the twist in. I'm also separating out the fibers and allowing a certain amount to grab. And that's it. If I allowed more fiber to grab, my yarn would be thicker. If I allowed less fiber to grab, my yarn would be thinner. I do find that when I spin mixed blends, like this one is, where it has long pieces of silk like this right here, and it has lumpy bits, and it has sari silk in it, it is harder to remain completely hands off. It's harder to be one hand drafting and not provide a little bit of extra support with your pinching hand. This does not hurt your yarn. It does not create less loft. It does not make your yarn not long draw. It is still a long draw yarn. Okay, guys, please. It's still a long draw yarn. It is still a perfectly good long draw yarn. Okay, providing yourself with a little extra, what do you want to call it? A little extra tension, a little extra tug, another drafting hand is not a bad thing. It does not make you less of a spinner to use a second hand in your long draw. I've said this before, and I've had a comment before about how somebody did a test and they looked at their yarn under a microscope and saw that where they pinched, the yarn was less fluffy. And I am all for scientific pursuit, especially in the fiber community. However, if you cannot see it with your naked eye and you cannot feel it with your hand, the difference is so minimal as to be negligible. It does not make enough difference in your finished product to matter. Okay? I will die on this hill. Okay, so let's continue. Because I let all my twist go up into my supply, I want to untwist this a little. You can see here, I hope you guys can see here, that I'm untwisting this because I'm spinning clockwise currently. I am turning my yarn counter or anti-clockwise to open up the fibers to allow them to easily draft so I can get back to my consistent thickness. Okay, now I'm going to allow the wheel to provide me with more twist and continue on. This piece of silk is going to do its own thing, and I'm just going to let it. I firmly believe that you are the boss of your yarn. If you do, even spinning long draw, if you do not like the thickness or whatever of a particular part of your yarn, change it. Stop what you're doing because it's just the click of a button and fix it. That can mean doing this where you untwist it and then redraft it. Okay. It could mean you have to pick out something that you don't like. It's your yarn. You do what you want. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to switch camera angles for you. I'm going to try to get real up close to my hands so you guys can see what I'm doing. I know this is a hard angle and I'm going to do my best. Okay. Hang on. These little sari silk bits can be very hard to draft consistently. When I hold my fiber for Longdraw, these two fingers are the ones that are actually holding the fiber. These three kind of act as guides. This one is like a stability, and these two actually peel back on the fiber. So like this one is like a plate, and it offers the fiber to the twist. This one is, or these two are my gatekeepers, and they will peel back fiber that I don't want going in. They help me maintain my consistency. Here's some more sari silk being stubborn. Now guys, you're going to have to spend some time fiddling with your scotch tension on your e-spinner to really get it figured out and really set it up exactly how you want it. I know in my previous videos I said quite a few times that tension is a Goldilocks situation. It can't be too tight, it can't be too loose, it has to be just right. Unfortunately, I can't give you a, like, I don't know, measuring device that will tug on your yarn and tell you exactly the number that you need to be able to have a perfect setup, because each of us is individual, each of us is different, we have different needs and different desires, different likes. And so all I can tell you is how I set up my things and the tips and tricks that I have used in order to have success with spinning Longdraw on an e-spinner. The biggest thing for you to remember is it is just another wheel. You don't need to be afraid of an e-spinner. The only thing that you need to do is make sure that your tension is set up exactly for you. And that tension may be different than it is for spinning Longdraw when you're spinning like a short forward draft. You may want more or even less tension when you're spinning short forward, but only you can answer that question. So the biggest takeaways from this are fiber prep. Fiber prep is crucial. In order to have a pleasant spinning experience, you want to make sure that you are spinning the best possible prepped fiber that you can get, whether that is carded fiber, whether that is spinning from the fold. You could be one of those lucky souls who can spin Longdraw from comb top. I am not one of them. So whatever fiber prep you choose to go with, make sure it is an excellent prep. It drafts smoothly. It's not felted in any kind of way. Also, oh, sorry. Also, spend some time, sorry about the shaking, with your wheel and put your tension on your wheel to absolute zero, where your brake band is as loose as it can be and still stay on your bobbin end. And then very, very small increments, tighten your band while trying to actually spin. You know, stop and tighten your band a little bit and then start again, and stop and tighten your band a little bit and start again. You basically want to have enough tension on your bobbin to provide you with uptake without ripping it out of your hand. It should not pull and it should not wind on unless you let go. See, I don't like this part right here, so I'm going to stop my wheel. I'm going to untwist this. You can see, can you guys see? There's little twists and then a big fluffy part. So I'm going to untwist this and draft and fix it until I am happy with the consistency. This is a little fluffy piece. I'm willing to let that go. Everything else needs to be consistent. Now I'm going to let it twist. Once you are comfortable moving at slow speeds, you can increase your speed and increase your drafting to get through your fiber even faster. And that is the main benefit of spinning long draw, is that you can absolutely fly through your fiber if you go fast enough and your hands can keep up. All right, guys, that's all that I have for you today. Just remember, whether you're spinning on a double drive wheel, a Scotch tension wheel with treadles, or a Scotch tension wheel that's electric, the fundamentals, what your hands do, does not change. So if I didn't cover it in this video, I probably covered it in one of the other 2 long draw videos. Please go back and watch those. The information is good regardless of where you're spinning a long draw. Make sure your fiber prep is good. Make sure you have your wheel set up to that perfect Goldilocks situation, and only you can figure that out. All right, so you know that when it's a Scotch tension wheel, you very, very incrementally increase your tension until it doesn't pull out of the orifice and it doesn't tug your yarn away from you. All right, if you're spinning on a double drive, same exact thing. It's just how you adjust that tension is slightly different. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, want to see more of it, do like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Please leave me a comment and let me know if you guys have anything specific that you want to see, or if you really enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please let me know. Until next time, guys, happy spinning.